Welcome to the Onveos podcast, where we share actionable insights on web design, SEO, paid advertising, and AI automation. Each episode is focused on practical strategies you can apply immediately to build smarter systems, attract better traffic, and scale your business with confidence. Okay, so let's jump right in. And I have to admit, looking at the date here, it's January 2026. That feels a little bit wild to say.
It really does. I feel like the internet reinvents itself, every 6 months now? Time just flies.
Seriously, I was thinking back to 2023. We were all obsessed with minimalism, arguing about whether gradients were cool or not.
Oh, I remember. The whole clean girl aesthetic for the web.
Yeah.
Everything was beige.
Exactly. But looking at the web today versus just a few years ago, I mean, it's a completely different planet. The visuals, the tech underneath, it's a lot.
Whole new landscape. And that's really what we're going to try and unpack today. We've pulled together a pretty big stack of sources to make sense of it all.
Yeah, what are we working with?
So we've got the 2026 trend report from TheDigital, some pretty dense academic research on fuzzy logic and color emotion mapping,
Okay.
a super technical paper on new accessibility algorithms using something called the OKLCH color space, and even some really cool insights on how Gen Z interior design is literally bleeding onto our screens.
And I think the mission for this deep dive, for me anyway, is to figure out this tension I'm seeing everywhere. It feels like 2026 is this battleground.
The battleground between what?
Between two forces. On one side, you have what I'm calling dopamine, this bold, emotional, chaotic, joyful stuff. And on the other, you have data, the hard rules, accessibility algorithms, speed requirements, rigid structure.
That is the perfect way to frame it.
Yeah.
Dopamine versus data. But I think what we're going to find is that the winners in 2026 aren't actually picking a side.
Oh,
They're finding a way to make the math and the magic work together.
okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So let's start with the magic side then. The vibes, I feel like we can officially call it, right? Sad beige is dead.
It's over. The funeral's been held. That whole era of sterile, greige, minimalist design from the early 2020s, it's done.
So what killed it?
To really get it, you have to look away from the screen for a second and look at physical rooms. We've got this report talking about a trend called dopamine decor.
Dopamine decor, it sounds like a prescription, like take 2 throw pillows and call me in the morning.
It kind of is a prescription. It's mostly driven by Gen Z, and the whole idea is to create these little bursts of joy in your space to fight off, anxiety and monotony.
So it's a direct reaction to feeling kind of blah.
Totally. People are tired of safe and neutral. They want to feel something, and the color palettes prove it. We're not talking pastels. We're talking lacquer red, acid green, electric blue, really aggressive, high-energy colors.
And we were seeing that hit the web hard. But I was looking at the digital report, and it says the Pantone color of 2026 is Cloud Dancer.
Right.
And Cloud Dancer sounds soft. It sounds calm. Doesn't that sort of contradict the whole acid green thing?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? And Cloud Dancer is this really soft, off-white, stony color. But here's the trick. Designers aren't using it to paint the whole room beige again.
So what are they doing with it?
They're using it as a referee.
A referee.
Yeah, think about it. If you have lacquer red and acid green screaming at each other on a page, it's just visual noise. It gives you a headache. Cloud Dancer is the negative space. It's the calm that breaks up the fight and lets those dopamine colors really pop without being exhausting.
Okay, so it's the silence between the loud notes.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But it's not just static color anymore, is it? I feel like everything I see online in 2026 is constantly moving.
That is the other huge shift. We're in the era of designs that feel alive.
Oh, okay, feeling alive sounds a little bit like a marketing buzzword. What does that actually mean when I'm, just browsing a site?
It means micro-interactions have been turned up to 11. A few years ago, a button would just change color when you hovered over it. That was it.
Right, maybe a little shadow would pop.
Exactly. Today, we're seeing elements that almost seem to have mass and weight. They react to physics.
Give me an example of that.
Cursor proximity is a big one. As your mouse gets close to a button, the button might sort of lean towards your cursor, like it's being magnetically pulled. It anticipates you.
It knows I'm coming.
It knows you're there before you even click. Yeah. Or kinetic typography. That's huge right now.
I've seen that everywhere, where the headline isn't just sitting still.
Right. As you scroll, the text might stretch or rotate a little bit, or the letters will space out and then contract again. It's acting like a physical object, not just digital ink. It breathes.
I have to play devil's advocate, though. Why is this happening now? Why is 2026 the year of moving text and acid green? Is it just a fad?
There's a very specific driver, and funnily enough, it's AI. Over the last few years, we've just been flooded with AI-generated content images, text code, and AI output is, well, it's technically perfect.
It's smooth, it's flawless, it's symmetrical.
And it's completely sterile. There's no soul. So this human scribble trend we're seeing, the hand-drawn doodles, the rough edges, that early 2000s nostalgia, it's a rebellion. Are craving human imperfection because AI made perfection feel cheap.
Wow, that's a fascinating take. So we're using messiness to prove that we're real. It's like a visual proof of humanity.
That's a perfect way to put it. If it looks too polished, our brains kind of subconsciously flag it as bot-generated. If it's a little weird and messy, we trust it more.
Okay, so we want this dopamine, this happy human chaos. But I want to push on that happy part. We say happy colors, but is that real? Is there actual science that says, yes, this specific shade of yellow makes people happy? Or is it just marketing fluff?
That is where this gets really, really interesting because usually, yeah, color theory is so subjective. But we have a paper in our stack here from Expressive called Color Emotion Associations in Art using a fuzzy approach.
Fuzzy approach sounds like my brain before coffee. I'm assuming that's a mathematical thing?
It is, yeah. It's a concept from computer science called fuzzy logic.
Okay, break that down for me.
So normal computer logic is binary. It's true or false, on or off, 0 or 1.
A light switch.
Exactly. But human emotions aren't a light switch. You aren't just happy or sad. You can be mostly happy with a little bit of nostalgia. That's fuzzy. It's a dimmer switch.
So fuzzy logic lets you work in those gray areas.
Precisely. It lets computers reason more like humans. So this study looked at thousands of art pieces to map specific colors to specific emotions to see if the data actually backed up the feeling.
Okay, so spill it. What did the data say? What's the mathematical color of happiness?
Well, the study found a really strong link between happiness and yellow. So that old cliche actually holds up. A vibrant, high-chroma yellow is reliably interpreted as happy.
Okay, 1 point for the traditionalists. Give me something unexpected.
The big aha moment for me was the emotion of surprise.
What color is surprise?
It's the only emotion that was strongly associated with light colors and beige.
Wait, what? Beige is surprise? I would guess, I don't know, bright purple or something shocking.
You'd think, right. But the theory is that surprise is that moment before your brain processes the emotion. It's a blank slate. It's the gasp. So our sad beige might have actually been surprise beige all along.
That's wild. I'm never going to look at a khaki wall the same way again. Okay, I saw something in the notes about gratitude and shame, and this seemed really contradictory.
Right, and this is where it gets dangerous for designers. The study links gratitude strongly to green, brown, and orange, earth tones.
That makes sense. Grounded, thankful, organic. Brown is gratitude. I can see that.
But, and this is the part that proves context is, everything. Brown and orange are also the dominant colors for shame.
Wait, hold on. So you're telling me if I make my website brown to make users feel grounded and grateful, I could accidentally be making them feel, like, ashamed and dirty?
You absolutely could. It's a coin toss.
That's a high-stakes design choice.
It is, and that's why the fuzzy part is so important. It's not just brown, it's the specific hue, saturation, and intensity. A rich, deep, chocolatey brown feels grateful. A muddy, washed-out, sickly orange brown, that's what triggers shame.
So the difference between thank you and I'm sorry is just a few points of saturation?
Basically, yeah. It shows that color is a language, and if your pronunciation is off, you can say the completely wrong thing.
Okay, so we've got these emotional landmines, and that brings us right to the constraint part of our discussion. We want the dopamine, the acid green, but we have to be readable. We can't just throw neon text on a white background.
Right. Accessibility. It's the #1 challenge with all these bold trends.
I was reading this piece on neon, and they had this line, lime green is the new neutral, which, I mean, that sounds insane.
It does sound a little crazy.
But their point was, on a dark mode background, lime green has this great pop without being painful. It almost acts like white wood.
And that's the do. The huge don't is using neon on white. It just vibrates, it washes out, it hurts your eyes. But the bigger problem has always been compliance. Passing those WTAG standards.
These contract ratios. Yeah.
Exactly. And for years, if you had a cool, vibrant brand color, say a bright electric blue, the accessibility checker would fail it. And the only fix was to darken it and darken it until it just looked muddy and dead.
I've been there so many times. You basically had to choose. Do I want to be accessible or do I want my brand to look like my brand?
Well, not anymore. And this is probably the most revolutionary thing in our stack today. It's a paper called perceptually minimal color optimization.
Okay, let's unpack this because this sounds like the solution to the whole dopamine versus data thing.
Yeah.
How does it fix the ugly accessible color problem?
It all comes down to using a different color space. It's called OKLCH.
Okay, I know RGB, CMYK. What on earth is OKLCH?
So RGB is how screens make color. Red, green, blue. It's designed for the machine. The problem is it's not perceptually uniform,
Meaning what?
meaning a 10% change to the blue value in RGB might look like a huge change to your eye, but a 10% change to the green might be barely noticeable. The math doesn't match what our eyeballs see.
Got it. So OKLCH is built for the eyeball.
Exactly. The math matches perception. So this new algorithm takes your illegal brand color, that electric blue. First, it locks the hue. It says, do not touch the soul of this color.
Okay, so it stays blue.
It stays your blue. Then, using some really fast math, it only tweaks the lightness and chroma just enough to find the absolute closest possible coordinate that passes the accessibility test.
So it's like this tiny surgical change to make it compliant without changing its identity.
It's so surgical that the stats are they're wild. This algorithm fixes over 77% of accessibility violations. But here's the kicker. For nearly 89% of those fixes, the change is literally invisible to the naked eye.
Wait, invisible.
The color difference, the delta E, is so small that if I showed you the original and the fixed color side by side, you couldn't tell which was which.
That's massive. That changes the entire conversation.
It does. It means the compromise is gone. In 2026, we don't have to choose. We can have our acid green and make it accessible too.
So we have our colors sorted, we have our emotional language. But now we have a screen full of moving text and breathing buttons and neon. It sounds chaotic.
It is chaotic, and chaos is exhausting. We've all been on those sites where everything is flashing and you just want to find the contact button.
So how do we manage that?
That's why the dominant layout trend for 2026 is all about aggressive structure. You need a container for the chaos. And the clear winner right now is the bento grid.
The bento grid, like the Japanese lunchbox.
Exactly like the lunchbox. Your website is a series of different size compartments, asymmetric, card-like blocks.
I'm seeing this everywhere. Apple, tons of tech dashboards. Why now? Why is this taking over?
Because it handles diversity so well.
Yeah.
Your content isn't just text anymore. It's a video, a 3D model, a chart, a kinetic headline, a social feed.
All on one page.
Right. And if you just stack all that, it's a mess. The bento grid puts each one in his own little neat box. It gives the eye a clear path and a place to rest.
It's organizing the chaos.
And, this is crucial, it's natively mobile-friendly. Those blocks just restack themselves perfectly on a phone. You don't have to design a whole separate mobile site. The grid just works.
Speaking of things inside those blocks, we have to talk about AI. The report from The Digital says chatbots are dead.
They are. And good riddance.
But AI is obviously bigger than ever, so what's replacing them?
The era of that dumb, can I help you pop-up is over. In 2026, we've moved on to chatbots.
Chatbots. That sounds a little too friendly.
It's a terrible name, I agree, but the idea behind it is a huge shift. It's powered by what we call agentic AI.
Meaning the AI has agency, it can do things.
Exactly. The old chatbot could only find information. Here's a link. Agentic AI can act on information. Okay, I've booked that appointment and set a calendar invite.
So it's a tool, not a library.
Right. But the bud part is about personality. Because we're in this dopamine era, the AI can't sound like a robot. It has to match the vibe of the site.
So if the design is messy and human, the AI has to be messy and human too.
In a way, yeah. It needs humor, it needs empathy. It should feel like a human co-pilot. If your website is bold and uses acid green, your AI shouldn't sound like a polite librarian. It should have some personality.
Okay, so we've got the look, the feel, the structure, the AI. But there's one rule that just trumps everything else in 2026, and that's speed.
Speed is completely non-negotiable. The data on this is just brutal.
How brutal are we talking?
Users now expect a site to load in under 2 seconds.
2 seconds, that is nothing.
And if you're over 3 seconds, you've lost them. They're just gone. And that's where the tension comes right back. We want all this cool stuff, but we have less time than ever to load it.
It seems impossible. How are people pulling that off?
It's a lot of clever engineering. Variable fonts are a big piece of the puzzle.
Variable font.
Yeah. So in the old days, if you wanted a font in regular, bold, and italic, you had to load 3 separate font files. A variable font is one single file that contains the math to create any weight or style on the fly.
So one file does the work of 10.
Pretty much. It saves a ton of bandwidth. And that bento grid helps here too.
How? because of the blocks?
Yeah, you can lazy load the grid. You only load the blocks the user is actually looking at. It lets you have all this rich, heavy content, but you deliver it in these fast, bite-sized pieces so it feels instant.
So it's the illusion of speed, which is all that really matters.
Okay.
Okay, so let's put this all together. What does 2026 mean? This collision of raw human emotion and cold, hard algorithms.
If I had to boil it down to one theme, it's balance. Think of it like a pendulum. We spent years in that safe, boring, sad beige world. Then we got the AI explosion, which was sterile and perfect.
And now the pendulum is swinging back hard.
It's swinging back to the hand-drawn, the human, the dopamine. But, and this is the important part, we aren't throwing away the tech to get there.
We're using the tech to enable the human feeling.
Exactly. We're using OKLCH algorithms to make our neon colors accessible. We're using bento grids to organize our beautiful chaos. We're using agentic AI to make our tools feel personal. It's the gratitude browns and the hypertech working together.
So for someone listening right now who's maybe looking at their own website and thinking it feels a little too 2023, what's the first step? Do they have to burn it all down?
No, definitely not. Don't do a full redesign. Just start with the accents. Add a single dopamine color, maybe that lime green, but use it strategically, like on your dark mode buttons.
Small bursts of joy.
Exactly. Check your load time. If you're not under 2 seconds, that's your homework.
Yeah.
Optimize your images, switch to variable fonts, and maybe run your brand colors through one of these new OKLCH tools. You might be able to make them pop more and be more accessible.
I love that. Practical steps.
And I just want to leave our listeners with one last thought. We talked about scroll storytelling, how the site moves with you. But think about where that's going.
Where do you think it's going?
If 2026 is about creating these cinematic experiences where the user's in control, are we moving away from browsing websites and more towards playing them?
Oh, that's interesting. So gamification, but not as like points and badges, but as the core interaction.
Exactly. So does your content have a narrative arc? Or is it just a list of features? Because if I'm playing your site, I'm going to need a story.
That's a huge shift in mindset from being a librarian to being a director.
Precisely.
Well, on that note, I think that's a perfect place to wrap this deep dive. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope you found a little dopamine in all that data.
My pleasure.
We'll catch you in the next one.